Hello, and welcome to Dungeons and Devs episode. I guess this is episode 0.1 or something. We're still working out some technical problems. I'm Xavier. I'm a 3D character artist in Insomniac Games, currently working on Spider Man for the PS4. I'll be the host and DM for tonight's game. So, what is Dungeons and Devs? Well, the simple answer is that it's just a bunch of game developers playing D&D online. Even more than that, though, it's an opportunity to sort of put faces to a lot of those names you see in the credits of games. It's about bringing together game developers who don't usually have a public face, talking to them, and learning a little bit about their jobs and what they do and who they are. And then just diving into a game of D&D so that we can kind of get a feel for who everybody is. Now, during this first episode, we're going to probably run into some technical glitches and issues. We've already had a few before recording even started. So bear with us if we have audio, video, or connectivity problems. We're working on getting them sorted. Let's get started with some player introductions. I think we're just going to start with Chris and Sean and move on to everybody else down the line. So, would you guys like to tell us a little bit about yourself, your jobs, how you got into the game industry, or in this case, not the game industry, in one case?
Yeah. Hello, my name is Chris Sulzbach. I am an art director at Firaxis Games. I most recently shipped XCOM 2 War of the Chosen, on which I was the art director, and now I'm working as a senior character artist under Matt, actually, on a secret project I cannot talk about.
Good, because I was actually about to say it. Thanks for reminding me.
Yeah. We can't talk about it. I've been at Firaxis almost 13 years. I started there as an intern in my junior year of college. And have basically, when I got hired, I was, early 40s, 45, 46th employee there, and now we're up over almost 180, I think. So I've been there for a while. It's grown quite a bit, which is awesome. So I've been everything from intern, character artist, vehicle artist, environment artist, and then started focusing on characters mostly, Civ Revolution, for Xbox 360 and PS3. And then I was the lead character artist on that. And then I was the lead character artist on XCOM Enemy Unknown, Enemy Within, XCOM 2, and then art director on War of the Chosen. So it's been quite a ride, I would say. And today my buddy, one of my oldest and best friends, Sean, surprised me from Wisconsin. So
yeah,
here we are.
So I'm Sean Hart. I'm a developer of a different nature. I do food product development, and as Chris said, I've known him basically my whole life. Came in from Wisconsin and sort of surprised him, and everyone here has been generous enough to let me sit in and play and work myself into the character that Chris and I are playing together.
Cool. And just so everybody knows, Chris and Sean are actually going to be playing the same character with, I believe, like split personalities. Is that correct?
Yep, that's the idea.
Awesome. That sounds exciting.
Or basically, I think we're going to roll or something for who gets to decide what happens.
That sounds awesome.
It's like a two-headed ogre.
Yeah, precisely.
Awesome. Very cool. Well, cool. TJ, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah. My name is TJ Lyons. I went to school for video game design. Graduated back in 2014 and worked as a 3D artist for a little while. I'm currently working as a QA tester for Bethesda. I'm working on whatever games they're putting me on wherever they need me at the time. Yeah, my repertoire is not as advanced as Chris's. Pretty much just starting out in the game industry. And yeah, I mean, I'm happy to be here and playing with you guys.
Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Drew, how about you?
Let's see. Probably most of you might know of a website called Polycount. I founded that.
Nice.
Still the kind of the person in the back. You guys probably know, might have
Thank
known
you.
Adam. Adam was the guy that worked kind of for me because I couldn't really be the front page person or whatever. But that's getting way off track. I'm a good storyteller. That's kind of why I'm into this stuff. But anyways, that's why I'm participating so I can kind of like say, hey, yeah, that's me. But anyways, I spent 13 years at Sony Online and did PlanetSide and Star Wars Galaxies and DC Universe and 2 projects that died. And currently I'm doing freelancing and just finished up some work on Forza, the one that's just about to come out. And today I'm a bard, apparently. So we'll see how it goes. I am, we're going to be a death bard, I think.
Awesome. Well, that sounds great. Thanks for being here. Is it Jeff or Jeffrey?
Either one works. Jeffrey usually is what I go by.
All right, great. So, Jeffrey, tell us a little bit about yourself. Introduce yourself. Tell us what you're all about.
Sure. So I'm a community manager, and I work currently at Capcom at their Vancouver studio. Recently, we shipped Dead Rising 4. We're working on Puzzle Fighter now, and we're working on Dead Rising 4 for PS4. So what a community manager does is I do stuff like this. I do live streams of our games. I post on Facebook, talk on Twitter with fans, organize community events, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Also give the dev teams the feedback from fans about what people liked, what people didn't like, what they're angry at us about.
So everything, really.
Yeah. I often joke that I'm the tank of the studio. I'm the one who goes online and people, attack me and sort of leave the rest of the dev team alone. So I've been at Capcom for about 1.5 years. Previously, I'd been at EA working on sports games and Relic Entertainment working on Company of Heroes and Dawn of War.
That's cool. I did see Puzzle Fighter at PAX. I liked it.
Yeah, I was at PAX. I was manning the booth, so you may have.
Yeah, I liked the first iteration quite a lot, and then when I walked by, I was like, hey, they're redoing, they're doing it again. I'm like, that's cool. I liked it.
Yeah. Well, that's
cheers.
Good to hear.
So
Thank you.
there you go. Anyways, keep going.
Awesome. And last but certainly not least, that just brings us to Matthew Kean. Would you like to sort of introduce yourself? Tell us how you got in the game industry, that type of thing?
Yeah, sure. I'm Matthew Kean. I'm a lead character artist working on. Previously, I was a lead character artist on Civilization 6, and I helped Chris out on XCOM 2, as well as XCOM 2 War of the Chosen, which he was my character lead and then art directed me on that expansion as well. So it's kind of a weird human centipede of game dev there.
It's a pleasant way to put it.
Yeah. And then I've been kind of just had my fingers in a bunch of other projects, including things like Civ Beyond Earth and all the other things. I got into the game industry actually in a roundabout way via the film industry. I was actually working in the film industry for a couple of years doing some commercial and film work, and that was out in New York City, and I got a little tired of the whole contracting world and needed something a little more stable and full-time, and found myself working in the game industry because of it. So yeah.
Wow.
That's quite a path. Wow. Well, thank you all for introducing yourselves, telling us, a little bit about you. It's great that you guys were able to come and join today. But with that, I think we're going to get started. So you all have your character sheets and you're all set up to go?
Yep.
All
Yes.
right, great. So with that, we're going to sort of jump right in. I'm not going to have any music or anything like that. That might come in later episodes or something. Things might get more dramatic. But for now...
why we have the bard.
Yes. Sing for us, dance monkey.
No, I might get some music up.
Okay.
Only if you are the one actually using the instrument. But
Busts out a ukulele, you know, like just out of nowhere.
or just one of the
Death
cats
metal
just start,
ukulele.
you know,
Yeah.
tickling one of the cats like this. But
Raziel style beatboxing.
now that
Beautiful.
we're all ready to go, let's get started. So,
Good to go.
as members of the Guild of Adventurers, you guys are right now pretty low-level members. You're kind of taking all the shit jobs that nobody else wants, because really they're kind of forced on you. I mean, being in the Adventurers Guild is great. It's very lucrative, but at the same time, you know, it's not always the most glamorous job, especially when, as you've been doing for the past few weeks, you have been working as caravan guards for a husband and wife couple, the the Offburgers. They are a couple of pottery sellers who've been traveling, selling their wares, and over the past few weeks, you've been guarding them as part of the large caravan that they're on, and with the promise that once you reach the capital city of Villemire, you will be paid in full for your services. Now, over the past few weeks, you've gotten to know the this couple, and you know, they seem to be pretty nice people, but it's pretty clear that they don't have the most money in the world. So things. I mean, things seem to be on the up and up, but you know, you're not sure exactly where that end payment's going to come from. But regardless, you're now just a couple days out from your final destination, where you're going to be heading back to the guild hall in Villemire and getting your next assignments. And I seem to have misplaced my pencil. There it is. And as you are just a couple days out, you're starting to get closer to civilization. You know, you were previously just going along fairly deserted trails, and now you're starting to get into an area where there are more people. You know, every couple of miles there might be a small inn or a tavern, maybe a farmhouse or something like that. But it's still mostly forested. You know, forested terrain with you know, you're close to the mountains, so that you're you know, kind of close to the foothills. It's, you know, sloping. It's a very beautiful country, but it's also kind of hot and dusty. The sun's been beating down on you, and in this last couple of days of travel, this couple who you've been working for have sort of gotten a little bit lax with their, you know, demands and such, and they've decided that as you're now approaching civilization, they need your services a little less. So instead of having to stay up all night and take watches and stuff to guard all their goods that they're going to sell, they're going to pay for some rooms in an inn, and you guys are going to have a great night's sleep in your own rooms on actual beds, instead of, you know, laying flat out on the dirt on your bedrolls and that type of thing. So it's a very generous gesture, especially given that they don't seem like they're the best off, you know, people. So at this inn, it's got, you know, a tavern on the bottom floor, and then rooms above, and the staff there ushers you into their room, and Wilhelmina and Bob, this couple, they bid you goodnight, and their rooms are just down the hall from yours, just on the other side, right near the steps, and by the stairway going down. And Wilhelmina and Bob do have a very small child, an infant who Wilhelmina usually essentially just keeps in like a baby Bjorn type situation, except with just like a wrap type thing, and they've all three retired to that room. Occasionally you hear the baby fussing, but then as night gets later on, and it's approaching midnight now, everything's very quiet and still. The horses that you guys have been riding are stabled. Wilhelmina and Bob's wagon has been put in the stable and locked up, so it's all safe. And you guys are just getting good night's rest for the first time in weeks, really. I mean, it's great. It's quiet. It doesn't smell. You had the chance to actually take a bath. Is there anything that you'd like to do?
I'd like to wander downstairs. Is there anybody still in the inn area?
Going downstairs, you see that the bartender in the little tavern area down at the bottom is he's just standing behind the bar, just wiping out some cups and such. Just getting ready to go to bed. There's still a few stragglers who are at the bar, but it looks like most everybody is right about ready to head for bed already. It's
Okay.
approaching midnight now, so it's pretty late.
Sure. Sure.
I'd like to open my window, assuming I have one, and peer out into the night, welcoming this awesome sleep I'm about to have.
All right. All right.
Is there anyone outside of notice, or
Do a perception check. So that would you would roll a d20 and add your perception modifier, which is going to be in this column right here on your character sheet.
So I'm gonna roll a d20, and I have a perception of 6. So let's add 6 and roll. Got a 21.
Let's see here. Is that picking up the? Let me make sure the video is actually picking that up. There we go. Actually, looking out, you see that the moon is out. It's a beautiful night. It's warm. It's very clear. There's just a few clouds going across the sky, and it's it's almost a full moon. It's actually bright enough that with your low light vision, you're actually able to see quite a long distance. And you can see that off in the trees, there's some small animals skittering around, raccoons and that type of thing. There don't seem to be any people that you can see. It seems like it's mostly quiet and deserted outside. It's really just this inn and a couple of small outbuildings that are placed just right on the trail heading to the main city. You don't see any people moving around. You do see off in the distance what looks like could be maybe like a distant campfire or something with a little bit of smoke rising above the trees. But aside from that, there's not really anything going on. It's very quiet. It's nice.
All right.
So just to mention the way Sean and I are going to divvy up which personality does what. We're going to roll a d6. Evens, Sean will take it. Odds, I'll take it.
All right.
Do you have anything you want to do?
I guess
I can roll and we can figure out who gets to speak.
I guess it was. I had more of a question for the DM.
Yeah, sure.
As a rogue, if we go to sleep, can we sort of like a lighter sleep where we're like keeping our ears open, trying to be like keep our ears open for like weird noises outside or something like that? Is that a action we could take or a thing we could take?
I mean, in theory, that'd probably be one of those things where if you did that, you would probably not get the benefits of a full night's rest. So,
Gotcha.
Say if you didn't have all of your hit points, usually when you take a full night's rest, you get all your hit points back.
Right.
But intentionally trying to take that type of like light sleep, you'd probably only get, say, half that benefit.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Gotcha.
Okay, cool.
What do you want to do?
Hearing scratchy sounds. You good? All right. So, as you guys start to get ready for bed and welcome the night.
Welcome the night.
Yes. It's just after midnight. You can hear the big grandfather clock down in the tavern below actually strike midnight, and those of you who are still awake. Does anybody want to have already gone to bed, already be sleeping by now?
I'll already go to bed.
Yeah, and my character definitely would be going to bed.
All right.
Yeah.
Awesome. So
my character's gonna linger a bit at the window.
Mm-hmm. So as an elf, it's also worth noting that you don't actually sleep. You go into a meditative trance. So you're still partially aware of your environment. So you would hear the grandfather clock downstairs chiming midnight. So just FYI.
Okay.
So as the clock chimes midnight, you hear a few of the patrons who were still up, maybe just having a beer or something. They finally go to bed, and after maybe 10 or 15 minutes, everything sort of starts to just be completely calm. There's no disturbing noises. There are no horses farting near you. They're not, there aren't groups of people moving around at night like there are constantly in this stupid caravan that you've been in. It's just so peaceful, and you fall into this just great sleep. But then about 45 minutes to an hour later, you hear sort of a crash, like the sounds of a door being slammed all the way around on its hinges and slamming into a wall. And then you hear screaming from down the hall in the direction of... it sounds actually like Wilhelmina. It sounds like Wilhelmina is screaming. Everybody do a perception check. So it's a D20 plus your perception, which will be right about there on your character sheet.
So I rolled a 20.
All right. So a natural 20 is essentially the best roll that you can do. And basically what it means is in whatever context you're in, you get more or less the best result that you could. So if you were going to attack a guy and you rolled a natural 20, it just hits. If you were going to do some sort of skill check, like I'm going to use my acrobatics ability to do a backflip, and you roll a natural 20, you do a pretty freaking great backflip. In this case, you are... you become fully aware of your surroundings almost instantly, and taking just a second to absorb what's going on, you get your bearings and you realize that Wilhelmina is actually, and actually most of the rest of you would notice this as well, just because of your roles. But Wilhelmina is screaming about the baby, that somebody has taken the baby. She seems just going crazy. She's, where's the baby? The baby! Oh my God! The baby's gone! Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! And you can hear her running up and down the halls, pounding on doors, screaming about how the baby is gone, and that someone needs to get the baby.
All right. Well, hearing all of this, I'm gonna make my way down towards her, see if she knows anything else about who took the baby.
Okay.
And hearing that the elf is going down to talk to the woman about the baby, being half orc, I'm not gonna like that too much. So I'm gonna shove him out of the way and try to present myself as the hero in need and talk to her about the baby.
All right. So
elf down. I don't.
So are you just gonna let him do that, or are you gonna let him just kind of...
I mean, I'm a pretty chill guy. I know that we've been on the road for a while. I know how he does. I'm gonna stay out of his way for a bit and let him do his thing, and I'm gonna pretend to be a rug.
All right, great. So as you sort of push your way out there, you slam your door open and you stride out and you see Wilhelmina and your friends walking up to her, and you just kind of push past. You know how this stuff works. You know how to rescue people. You're an adventurer. You're in the Adventurers Guild, for God's sake. This is your thing, and this is your chance. So pushing past you see that she's sweating. She's crying. She seems incredibly distressed, and she runs up to you and grabs you by the just shirt, and she's like, the baby's gone! Someone took the baby! They took him! They came in our room and they took him!
So I slap her.
All right.
I'm not kidding.
You're gonna knock her out of the room.
Do just a general strength check. So roll d20 and add the strength modifier. That's going to be the big plus right here up the top.
20.
Oh my god.
Man, her head is not on her shoulders.
Things have gone awry.
So I smack some sense into her.
Yeah. So you just kind of like wind up and go, "Psh," but owing to your inherent half-orc strength, you just didn't somehow anticipate that you would be able to hit her that hard, especially without so much warning. And it almost catches you off guard how hard you hit, but then you kind of pull back from it and you realize that, oh my god, I just knocked her flat on her ass, and well, now she's down there crying and with a huge hand mark right across her face. And she seems shocked. She's just she looks at you just aghast. My god, he hit me. That man hit me. How dare he? But well, yeah.
Not too worried about the baby now. I mean,
Well, while they're doing that, I'm going to go outside and do a perception check to see if I can see anyone leaving the area.
Okay, yeah. So you work your way down the stairs, and you can actually see as you get to the bottom of the stairs that the door to like the main door outside it's been pushed open. It looks like the lock was broken. It's kind of like splintered inwards, and you can see that there are some some dusty boot prints that look like they're pretty fresh. But going outside, yeah, do a perception check.
Ooh, nice. We're rolling hot.
Yeah, so as you sort of like burst out the door into the street, you're sort of you're ready for what's going on, and you take a look around and scan your surroundings, and you see that about 100 yards off into the bushes and trees, there's actually a little bit of movement that's heading away, and you can you can't really tell what exactly it is, especially given that it's so dark, but you can tell that it's moving, it's going farther away, and you can also hear just a little bit of almost like cackling, just like and it sounds like there are multiple voices, but that's about all you can pick out from this distance. It's rapidly going farther away, so it's not like you'd be able to see much.
Can I do a perception on that?
You want to follow him down and do the same?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. You can. We can say that you followed him down, seeing what was going on.
Like how no one cares. I'm just still laying on the ground.
So is she apparently.
Yeah, they're both of us on the ground right now.
You're not the baby, so
Yeah.
you can get back up.
Yeah. So Drew, do a perception check as well.
Okay. I'm looking at my sheet, by the way, and it seems I have a special talent for perception.
Okay. What does it say?
It says passive wisdom, 12. Perception.
So passive. That basically means that. So right down here, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is essentially how observant you are without even necessarily paying attention to anything specific. So in general, if you were to do a perception check and you rolled a d20, this would be equivalent to having rolled a whatever that number is at any point. That's just how observant you are in general. So it's not an active thing. It's a thing that just is sort of is. So
it's almost like the minimum you can get in some ways.
Yeah, essentially that's sort of the minimum that you are capable of, and then anything above that would be sort of more active, something that you're looking for.
Okay, I get it. So it's a clamp on my bottom.
It is a minus the odd wording, but yeah, it is a clamp on the lower amount of perception that you are capable of.
I get it. Cool. Yeah. All right. Rolling. Apparently I got
some high rolls going on here today.
21.
Yeah, 21. That's pretty good. Yeah, I mean, following your friend out the door, you don't really see too much more. I mean, you're able to hear some of the cackling in the distance, but having just followed him out, they were already out of your sight immediately. But you can still hear like the echoing sounds of but that's about it.
That's about it. All right, fair enough.
We wanted to do something.
Yeah.
We want to. Well, I'm gonna roll to see. Ooh, it's an even.
Okay. So during the commotion, we're going to our rogue is gonna go down to the main floor of the tavern and start poking around, see if there's anything, maybe of any sort of value that we could sneak away in the. Can we go down and do a perception check for like valuables?
So that would be an investigation check. So you'd go downstairs and add your investigation modifier, which is going to be in this column as well.
Do that on a d20?
Yeah, so it's going to be a d20 plus your investigation modifier. So that'll be based on your intelligence.
Not the best roll. Got a 6 there.
6.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like they keep all the valuables under lock and key, at least as far as you can tell. But it seems like some people might have come through here, and I don't know. You don't know if they grabbed anything. It's tough to tell. There's no like
other than a baby.
Oh yeah. There's no like till or anything. It seems like they probably keep all of the cash in a lockbox somewhere else in the building. So you're not sure where any of those valuables would be.
Okay, so since I didn't find anything good, can I steal myself a mug of grog and wander out front?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So yeah, you don't have to do any check for that. It's it's in a barrel right there.
Yeah,
Can I get a Mountain Dew?
Yeah, right.
Along those same lines, I'd like to lift TJ and Wilhelmina up both with my arms and carry them downstairs.
Okay.
Sit them down, and then using, I'm not very intelligent, but I feel like I have a good heart. I'm going to try to get them some alcohol as well to kind of calm the tension and calm the nerves. And I'd like to, after drinking, I'd like to ask Wilhelmina again. Granted, I'm not very charismatic. I'm not extremely intelligent. But I'd like to bluntly ask her again, what happened to baby?
Okay, so first, TJ, do you want to resist any of this manhandling at all? Or are you just playing the rug again?
No, I mean, I feel like we have a good dynamic. He's the big dude.
Yeah,
I'm the little dude. I will try to help him talk to her, to funnel his incoherent slurs so she can understand and help her out.
All right,
So
sorry. Matthew, do two strength checks. One to pick up each of them.
Okay.
One
so that's
each.
a D20?
Yeah. So D20 twice, and that would be adding your strength modifier.
Okay. Oh. Wait, which one was that one for, though? Was that Wilhelmina? Or was
which one do you want to pick up first?
Did you drop her?
I'm dropping you, buddy. I'm sorry. I'm dropping you. So let's just see what
All right. So.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So after your initial slip up with your friend, where you're like, oh, now he's slipping, fuck it. You then go and just pick Wilhelmina up, toss her over your shoulder, and just like start walking down the stairs, and just her over your shoulder still. It seems like she's kind of protesting, but you have a mission, right? So you're on your mission. So now you just go over to the bar, you grab some cups, and walk over to a table, plunk them down with this bottle of something that you just grabbed. You start pouring stuff. You plop her down, and then you hand her a thing. And what do you want to say?
Just what I said before. What happened to baby?
I will try to translate what
you're
you just said.
Coming back from the behind. Like, wait.
Yeah. Wait. Did you see anything that would lead us to know what happened to your baby by chance? As my big friend so eloquently said.
So she kind of like stares at Matthew for a second, and she's like, he has no brain. My God, I was traveling with him for weeks, and he has no brain. But then she turns to you, and she's like, my husband ran after them. They came into our room, and they reached into our crib. They took the baby, and they ran. And he's gone now. And actually, at this moment, Bob actually comes running back in the door, and he's panting and sweating. He's like, I couldn't catch up with them. They were too fast. They have our little Eleanor.
Do not slap him.
Does my passive wisdom on perception is pretty high. It's on a 14. So I'm guessing, though I'm pretty dumb, I can perceive if something is weird. I guess because it's like my survival skill, my fighting thing. Is that correct?
Sort of, kind of. Yeah. It's more about being aware of your environment.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, depending upon the type of thing it is, you might be able to just kind of automatically notice that something's a little off. What are you trying to do?
Well, does my character notice anything awry with either what Bob or Wilhelmina is saying? Is it
okay. In that case, do an insight check.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's going to be in the same column right over there.
For
so it's going to be in this column. You roll a d20 and add the modifier for insight.
Okay. So it's a 14 plus 1 is 15.
Okay.
Is that?
You can put the +1 in the roll too.
Yeah, there's an option to put the +1 in the roll.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah,
I apologize.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, so I mean, I seem to have misplaced my dice, but one second.
We should all just leave now.
Yeah, we're just gonna go away. He's gonna come back.
I got the ice.
Guys, I'm just gonna be laying on the floor again.
Yeah.
I don't know how I lost like half of the game right there. It was in the other room while I was getting ready. Let me just get my dice out. So
we got this online thing that you can.
Oh yeah, I know that. I know that. But
it's like a hidden roll.
Yeah, I mean I know you can do hidden runs, but I'm just gonna just for the sake of not having to fuck with more things on the computer that can potentially go wrong, because so many have gone wrong tonight. I'm just gonna do it this way so that I know. But yeah, it doesn't seem like either of them are like necessarily behaving in any weirder a fashion than they would be if their baby was kidnapped right before their eyes. I mean, they seem pretty distressed.
Understood. I was trying to find a gotcha in there, but okay. All right.
Are the guys outside doing anything, or?
I'm gonna ask Bob a question. Can I ask him a question?
Sure. Yeah.
I'm gonna ask him if he knows who that guy was, who the laugh was. Did he recognize the laugh?
You mean you? Sorry. You mean the fucking cackling?
Yes.
I don't know who it was. I know what it was. It was some fucking goblins. They came in there. They're probably gonna eat our fucking baby. That's what goblins do, right? They just steal babies and eat them. They're probably cackling because they're fucking hungry.
So earlier when I saw the campfire going on through the window, do I remember where that campfire was?
Yeah, you would remember.
So I'm gonna ask Bob if they were running in this general direction that I saw the campfire at.
Yeah, he like takes a second and sort of like orients himself, and he he has this like aha moment, and then he's like, yeah. That was you should go after. Go get the. It's them. It's them. Oh my god. Oh, it's them. You have to go, please.
Are we like dressed and armed and ready to go? Or did we just like burst out of our rooms, kind of like
You
Everyone was
essentially-
sleeping. Yeah.
Yeah, everybody was sleeping, and you sort of just like burst out of your rooms, probably ready to,
We
do
sleep
something.
nude.
But yeah, I mean, you'd be in at least like a nightshirt or some shit like that.
I'm not convinced that Matthew is not in full armor. I
I actually, it's either that or I'm completely nude. But I'm going to say for this scenario, I am in complete armor. I got myself all like ready to go, and after hearing that the attack.
It's kind of glitching out.
Oh no. Okay.
Oh, okay, you're back. You're back.
Good.
Okay. So without consulting anybody and being in full armor, burst through the front door, out of the inn, and start. That's all I got right now.
Just booking it over there.
I'm just
Out there.
booking it in the direction.
All right, yeah. So you don't take any time. You just like grab your shit and you just like Forrest Gumping it out there into the woods, and you just crash into all these bushes and stuff, and you just start running. Do an athletics check. Because I mean, you're essentially trying to run straight through a bunch of like bushes and weeds and grass and all kinds of forest.
Please let every tree just kind of fall down in his way. That would be good.
Athletics is +4. Let me do that. Okay. So this is a D20 as well.
Yes.
So I got almost a 20. I got an 18.
Yeah. You like initially the going seems a little bit rough, but then you kind of like find your stride and you realize, hey, I'm following the trail of these dudes. They cleared a path for me already. And you're just going. You're going.
I think he would go running.
I'd like to grab 2 more steins of beer and follow. So like 2 in one hand, and then grab my short sword. Oh my gosh, I have not been drinking like my character. And go follow the orc out. Not running, but I'm just trotting along.
Okay.
Hey, half orc, buddy. Half.
The half orc. Yeah. So beverage first, and then I'm a rogue. I don't want to like run into the midst of something by accident, so I'm taking my time.
All right, cool. Sounds good. What are you other guys doing?
I'll run back into the tavern and gather up my gear and guitar. My sheet says it's a lute, but that's a string instrument,
whatever.
which to me says guitar.
Yeah, sure.
And I'm layering leather, so I'm obviously a death metal. So that's the name on my character sheet is Bat Growl, by the way.
All right.
So
are we suited up?
Yeah, I'm gonna grab my stuff and come back out of the tavern, and if I've got enough action points or whatever that means, follow on slowly after those guys.
Yeah, sure. It'll take you a few minutes to get everything together.
Sure.
You have to don your armor and that type of thing. But 5-10 minutes later, and I'm assuming the rest of you guys probably want to do similarly. Does that make sense?
I want to just like drape my hand across both Bob and Wilhelmina's face and be like, shh. We got this. And then go and get my stuff.
All right.
So you're pulling a Sean Archer from Face
I'm
Off.
soothing them.
Yes.
Are you rubbing? Are you rubbing them?
Their faces. Shh.
All right. So you all take a few minutes, get your shit together, and and then get ready to go. Matthew, what are you doing out there in the forest?
Because I have. I forgot I was there. I was so enthralled. Because I have survival skills and things like that. I'm assuming. Can I? Do I have the ability to sort of look for a trail or something like that, or disturb grounds?
Yeah.
Would
That
be
would
something of a character?
that would be a survival check to sort of look for trails and stuff in the forest, that type of thing. Yeah.
Okay, so can I roll for that?
Yeah. So it's the same as the other ones. Roll a d20 and add the modifier. For it.
So 21 is the final score of that.
Yeah, so you definitely are able to pick up the trail from these guys, and it seems like looking around as you're running, you take a second to like take stock, and then you realize, oh, I'm following the trail of multiple people, and there you can see in this kind of dim light that there are some footprints in the dirt, and they're all going off in the same direction. There's lots of broken twigs and other things that sort of delineate this trail of where they came from and where they were going.
Has everyone caught up with me here?
Is Matthew going in the same direction as I saw the trail going when I checked earlier?
Yeah, it's the exact same direction.
So as we're starting to head to try to catch up to Matt, I'm going to use my wild shape ability that it says I have, and turn into the raccoon that I saw earlier, and scurry off towards him to try and be a little stealthy about it.
Okay.
And use my little raccoony nose to find his stench.
Okay. Let me figure something out real quick here, because turning into something of, say, that size is going to affect things like your movement speed, potentially. So I don't know if they have a raccoon in here, but they might have something like a cat, which would be
trash panda.
Let's see here.
Yeah, trash panda. That's in there.
Well, they have a cat.
That's close enough.
Yeah, I mean, I think a cat is probably close enough. What is your movement speed? It'll be up here at the top of your character sheet where it says speed.
35 feet.
Okay, so instead of having a movement speed of 35 feet, you now get a movement speed of 40 feet. So you're actually able to go a little bit faster than you were before, just owing to your, cat agility and such. So that's good. And you're actually able to sort of catch up to Matt pretty quickly. You can see that he's still chugging along pretty well. But you managed to at least, get eyes on him, even if you're not fully caught up immediately.
So real quick,
Yeah.
Saul's did a roll, and it rolled to me. Since I didn't see you turn into the raccoon, but I just see this raccoon run by and I freak out a little bit. So I'm gonna chuck one of my steins of beer at it, and just in a panic.
I get knocked over. I get a beer thrown at me.
Yeah,
you are a trash panda.
It's just
I am a trash panda.
It's just what what the hell is that?
Yeah.
Okay, let me check something. Let me check something
maybe
here.
a trash panda with a nice hat.
I mean, I'd hope so.
Oh, it's his hat. Okay, that's him.
So you guys are playing the rogue, is that correct? Right?
Yes.
Yeah. I just want to make sure of something right here. Because there is a proficiency that you could technically have, but
Is he gonna beat me in the back of the head?
Oh, okay. So you are not proficient with improvised weapons, which is what this would be. So just do an attack roll. Roll a d20 and add. I guess this would be your dexterity modifier, since you're trying to hit an object as opposed to smash something.
Okay. So I would say this, just because I'm now 3 beers deep or 3 grogs deep. would I have a penalty to it?
That would. Actually, that is a good point. If you're drunk, you would roll with disadvantage, which means that you would roll twice and take the lower of the 2 rolls. and then you would add whatever modifiers on top of it.
All right, so I'm saying we're buzzed, so we'll go disadvantage. So the lower was, what was that, 16?
16.
Yeah.
And let's see, as a cat, your armor class is only a 12, so it does hit you.
Oh God!
Good God! What is the? I think the damage for that's going to be 1d4 plus your strength modifier. So roll a d4 and add whatever your strength modifier is.
Well, my strength is -1, so.
Oh no, that's going to be theirs. Yeah.
Oh, them?
One
Yeah.
1d4 plus 1.
Okay.
As a
I was gonna
player,
say,
I
I'm-
apologize, but
Wait, what is
Oh, good.
they
Okay.
did it. 1d4.
1d4 plus 1.
Yeah, so 1, 2.
2.
All right.
We accidentally.
I accidentally hit it twice.
So it grazes you.
Yeah, it just kind of like taps me.
So what
Yep.
what is the total then? Is that the 3?
2.
It's 2. He accidentally
Two.
clicked twice.
I accidentally clicked
I
it
see.
twice.
I see. Yeah. So, TJ, you find that as you're scurrying along, starting to catch up to your friend, you then just feel this and you see a beer stein just roll off, and as this happens, the raccoon form actually takes 2 hit points, which is how many hit points you have, and you revert back to your regular form.
I'm just gonna lay on my back. I'm gonna lay on my back and just yell, "Why?"
I'm gonna yell back and say, "You made me spill my beer."
All right.
Oh man.
Sweet. So I guess that's going to take us back to whatever the hell it is that Matt's doing.
So at this point, I've realized that I've run so far and so fast that I am completely alone in the middle of the woods, and so I have now just stopped moving. Yeah, no, I know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop moving, and I am going to. I don't know how far I am towards the campfire, but if I could roll maybe a perception check just to see if I notice anything
Yeah, definitely.
right there.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So where's my perception? Perception's +4. All right. All right. So only 11 total. So do I notice anything?
You don't notice too much, but you do start to pick out like the smell of smoke in the air. You don't see anything out of the ordinary. You can still see the trail that you were following, but it sort of like fades off into the bushes up ahead. You do pick up a very slight scent of smoke, but that's about it.
As far as the forest that he's currently in, I know you said that the moon was really bright, so you could see. Is his sight inhibited at all because of like he's in a forest now?
I mean the general distance probably would be, but let me see here. As a half orc, he has dark vision, which means that he can see up to whatever distance in the dark, as if it's bright light.
Gotcha.
It's just shades of gray. So he'd be able to see maybe 30, 40 feet in front of him before the forest just gets too thick for him to see through. So it's the same with you and basically I think anybody who's not a human in the party. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm half elf over here.
Yeah, so you would have dark vision as well.
Yeah, we
have
are.
dark vision.
Yeah.
Of course. Can't be metal without having dark vision.
All right. So is there anything you want to do? Do you just want to like wait there, wait for your friends, or?
Yeah, no, I want to wait until everyone collects together as a group. I'm dumb, but I'm not that dumb, in which I'm going to just keep going off in that distance. I'm just going to stop, and I looked around. Now I'm waiting. I'm waiting for everyone to convene on me.
All right, cool. So what do the rest of you want to do?
I'm gonna go over to our elven brethren that I just hit with a stein and just grab him under the arm and get him back on his feet.
All right.
Thank you.
And go, you owe me a beer.
All right. What are the other Drew and Jeffrey? What do you guys want to do?
I'm gonna ignore these two goofballs and just keep running
All right.
until I catch up.
All right, sweet.
Yeah,
and
I'm with him.
all right, cool.
I'm running. Yeah, sticking with
I'll be
him.
right back, guys. Keep going.
Yeah, sure.
All right.
Yeah, in that case, both of you do perception checks.
Get your ass out of here.
That would be 12.
All right, yes. I mean, you can see like vague hints of a trail, but because it's dark, mostly all you can see is that there are like some broken twigs in some places. It's kind of tough to see just because of like how thick the forest is in this spot.
Sure.
All right, I want to. Can I do something?
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
I want to use how far can I see in front of me with my dark vision if I'm like moving forward? Is there any easier path I could take that will get me there quicker, or do I have to keep going through the ogre mess?
I would say you probably would want to do an investigation check to see if there is or I guess a survival check to see if there is an easier path to get through there.
All right, that's D20 plus 2. 16.
Yeah, so after taking a few minutes to investigate your surroundings and get a feel for like how this forest essentially works, really, the general way that the trees and bushes and stuff grow, you're actually able to find that there are some easier paths to take that go in the same general direction. They might take a little bit longer, but they're easier to walk along. So it's probably, going to take about the same amount of time as if you were just barreling through all these bushes like your half-orc friend. So you're...
Is there any like negative effect to barreling through?
It's loud and noisy, and you'd probably end up tripping, depending upon various circumstances.
We'll go on an easier path. We'll go on a quieter, easier path. Sort of stay in the shadows away from them, but to observe.
All right, sounds good. So as you guys sort of begin to convene in the same general location, you're able to kind of get a feel for where everybody is and finally meet all in the same spot that your half-orc friend has sort of cleared out just by stomping around and waiting for all of you guys. What do you want to do?
From here, I would also like to do a perception check to see if I can figure out where they've gone, so that way we can start, formulating a heading.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
So
yeah, go ahead.
See, D20, and I'm going to be adding... Perception is 6, that's right. Boom. 20, bam.
Nice. Yeah, so after taking a couple minutes to just like look around, get your bearings, you start to see the like up through the trees. You can actually see that column of smoke from earlier, and you find that you're a lot closer to it, and you can actually just make out some of that like cackling voice coming through the trees. You can't really see anything just because the woods are so thick, but you can see through the canopy that there's smoke rising, and you're close enough to actually see a few sparks and stuff.
Does he tell that to the rest of the group?
Yeah, I mean, you'd be able to communicate it to the rest if you want. If you don't want to, you don't have to.
So yeah, I've been knocked on the ground. I've been bludgeoned. I will tell the rest of the group so that way they don't hit me anymore.
My character grabs TJ and hurls him above the tree line.
Do you actually want to attempt doing that?
Yes, I do. I want to grab him and fling him up into the air above the tree line to see if he could see any. In my mind, that's a good move.
Okay. Do a strength check.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Oh no, God.
Oh God.
All right. So that's 8. It's 8 plus. That's 8 plus 7. So it's not like incredibly terrible.
Okay, so 15.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you do manage to pick up your friends, once again, and just toss him up in the air. Uh, uh, but what you didn't necessarily account for is that the canopy of trees is a
That's what I was
canopy
thinking.
made
There's
of
trees up there.
branches and other bits of tree, and he slams into one of the smaller branches and and
I'm gonna die before we get anywhere.
and takes 1 point of bludgeoning damage.
Oh my god.
Awesome.
Oh no. Did I hurt you when you were in raccoon form? Or
You
did that just-
destroyed my raccoon form.
Okay, but I didn't
But
actually do
you
damage.
didn't actually do damage to him, just the raccoon.
No.
Okay.
Gotcha. Okay.
I feel less bad.
Yes, I feel less bad now.
All right. So where are my health? The Constitution.
So your health is going to be it's up here in this box right here.
Oh, I see.
So
Okay.
it's going
So
to
I
have
took-
your maximum hit points. Then you'd subtract from that and just like pencil it in there or something.
Gotcha.
All right.
All right.
So what do you guys want to do? You guys want to?
While I'm hitting my face against a tree, am I able to access my spider climb ability on myself? Because I know it says a willing participant.
Yeah. Let me see here. 'Cause
I'm very willing at this point to get away.
Let's just take a look at that. I think it depends on how long that takes. That is so that would take one. It's a one action length.
Okay.
And generally an action is about 6-ish or 6-ish seconds, I believe. And then a bonus action would be something that's much quicker, just like very quick.
I'm just gonna throw my arm to try to grab that tree.
Okay. That sounds good. Do a strength check.
Okay, -1. Let's see how that goes. 11.
Yeah, you managed to kind of grab on. It's not a very good grip, and you're probably going to slip off in a second here, but you do manage to like slam it and just almost accidentally wrap your arms around the tree branch with your legs sort
Okay.
of just like dangling below.
A moment of solace is all I needed.
Can I attempt to like make up for myself, and can I attempt to catch him and he can drop into my large orcish arms?
Yeah, you can if you want.
Or would I roll
If-
for this?
if-
It's the weirdest. It's the weirdest D&D rom-com going on.
Yeah.
So wait, so you're holding onto a tree branch?
Nearly, yeah.
Okay. Can we use our rogue second story work to climb the tree without an action move and get up on the branch with you?
Yeah,
Just-
you could probably do that. What does second story work say about climbing?
It says you gain the ability to climb faster than normal. Climbing no longer costs you extra movement.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, do a an athletics check with. I guess that'd be with advantage. I think.
So that's roll twice.
Yeah, roll twice.
higher
Take the
roll.
higher of the two. I'm not gonna be a stickler for the rules because that sounds cooler.
All right,
13.
13.
Yeah, you're able to just like climb into the tree and just kind of like get up on the branch and just kind of, hey, buddy.
Okay. I'm gonna lie down on the branch and just
Oh,
close to him and go. Do you need a hand up?
I'm gonna let go and fall into my friend's arms.
Okay, see ya.
I'd rather be near the half orc than be near the guy who hit me with a mug.
All right.
I try and high five you as you fall.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. So, do you want to try to catch him?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So in that
It would be
case,
so funny if you said no right there. Like,
in that case, to actually do the high five, do a dexterity check.
Okay.
I'm just flailing, right? I don't have to do anything.
Nah, not really.
All right. Here's our high five check.
Ooh.
17.
Yeah, you do manage to give him a high five. Now, to actually catch him, do a strength check with disadvantage because one hand is up here trying to high five and one hand is down here just doing whatever this hand is doing.
Wait, for me, I have to do a
No, yeah,
Yeah.
Matt is catching me. He wasn't high-fiving. Chris was.
I'm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw
rogue
people
initiative.
talking at the same time, and I'm
Yeah.
like, okay,
Oh,
never
sorry.
mind. Yeah, okay. So yeah, do a strength check.
All right. Plus
I
7.
got a high five on the way down.
I feel very good about the high five on the way down.
Yeah, you managed to just kind of like latch onto him, and he falls into your arms gracefully, like in that scene in The Princess Bride where she just jumps out the window, the dress, flailing
eyes.
above her.
Catch each other's eyes.
Yeah.
I was about to say, do we have a moment in which our eyes meet?
Do you want to
Some other
have a
face-
moment? You can have
I think
a
we need a
moment if
moment.
you want a moment.
I think
You
we
know
need a
what?
moment.
Let's have a moment. I
Okay.
want to have this moment.
All right.
What do
all
I
right.
have to roll to?
Our bard could play a
do
A
a-
couple more
romantic
D20s and we could have a wedding.
Do a performance check.
A performance
For
check?
both
Yeah.
of us or just him?
Well, if I guess it is, both of you. If you
Okay.
both, if you're both trying to have a moment, not just one of you
here.
trying to have a moment. Yeah, both of you.
Our
I rolled a
bard start
3.
playing cherry pie.
Oh, I rolled an 8, so this is not happening.
As moments go, this is not one of them.
Yeah.
I just kind of slap you on the face. I'm like, that'll do, pig. That'll do.
All right,
All right.
all right. So,
Are we?
do you guys actually want to go chase after this kidnapped baby or anything
Yeah.
like that?
Yeah, while those guys are
Having a moment.
having a moment, I'm gonna use my time to roll another perception to see if I can figure out where if we can more in the cackling distance that we were told of. Because I'm just watching these guys and like, oh God, idiots.
Yeah. Do just a general perception check.
Yeah, not just observing the environment.
Yeah.
20.
Yeah. So taking a second while these guys are doing their whatever it is they're doing, you are able to see that in the exact direction of where the column of smoke is rising above the trees, that's where the trail leads to, and taking a second to listen. After they've finished, doing the whole locking eyes and like thing, you can hear that there's some commotion and noise coming from the direction of that fire, wherever that fire is and whatever it is. And you can hear more voices. They're not just like cackling now. It seems like they're talking.
Are they
about
singing?
something.
Are they singing?
You can't really tell. It's tough. It's tough to get a beat on it. It's more just like sounds of voices.
Were you just going to walk to the bonfire just already playing? Just like, hey, guys.
You would not believe the performance plus modifiers I've got on this guy. All right? This could work.
So we want to use second story work to jump from tree limb to tree limb to try and cover more ground quicker to get towards the fire.
Okay.
So I don't know what I need to. It says
Fine, acrobatics.
when you make a running jump, the distance you cover increases by a number of feet equal to your dexterity modifier.
Yeah. So I'd say that's probably probably going to be an acrobatics check. Well, yeah, just go for
Oh,
it.
nice. Go, baby.
Oh, goodness gracious.
I've only got 11 acrobatics.
You're not the smoothest road.
Should we not curse? Can
Oh,
we
I
curse?
honestly I don't give a fuck.
Okay.
Good answer. Yeah, there you go.
I mean, we're all adults, and presumably it's going to be mostly adults watching this anyway. So I
Yeah.
really don't care that much. I do want to keep it like at least like, multiple F-bombs are not exactly PG-13, but I probably want to keep the content at least PG-13. So no like, disgusting, rapey weirdness or anything like that.
Deal.
But
All
yeah.
right.
Sorry, Matt.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
We can't discuss any survival video games.
All right,
But yeah, I mean,
roll 11.
You guys, well, you, I guess not you guys, but you are able to make the jump onto another limb, and your feet kind of like slip, and you kind of like have to catch yourself, but then you manage to stay up there, but it's not like the most graceful landing in the world.
Okay. Cool.
And you just want to like keep doing that farther and farther on.
Are you guys sobering up at all during this point, or you guys still pretty hammered?
So I guess here's a question: if we're playing if we're playing different, well, I guess no, personalities wouldn't be affected by like Chris's version of the personality wouldn't be sober if my personality is drunk.
No.
Yeah.
I would say that it's been several minutes, maybe half an hour since you guys sort of set off into the forest, so you're probably sobering up by now. So I'm not going to impose any penalties or anything like that. That seems kind of shitty.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we're getting our wits back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you guys just want to keep going through the treetops
just
like that?
Just basically until we see the smoke, but we don't want to reveal ourselves. We want to like kind of stay in the trees.
Yeah,
Okay,
and not get too far ahead of the group.
Yeah. So in that case, I'd say just do like 3 more of the same check, just to cover the whole thing. I don't want to narrate every single little slip and miss and every other thing that might happen.
Woo! He fell out of the tree.
I wanted to like 2 really good jumps and then just 1 epic fail.
Well, we were a little bit drunk. There we go.
So
the last one was awesome.
Yeah, so the first couple are there's some pretty bad slip ups for the first couple, but you manage to like claw your way back up into the tree, and with this last jump, you just like go and you land it perfectly in the tree. You kind of skid to a stop right by the trunk, and you're actually able to kind of like look around the trunk and see into a clearing. What are the rest of you guys doing now?
I'm going to see Chris.
Are you still holding me?
Yes.
Okay. Just want to make sure.
Like that.
He may throw you at the goblins.
Yeah, I mean,
No.
So how about this? How about this?
All the time.
We can almost do like a buddy cop movie kind of thing.
Okay.
So I'm gonna see them run across the trees, and I'm gonna begin to like barrel after them in my half orcish way through the clearing right before the trees end. So what do I have to roll for that? I want to.
At this point, the sort of floor of the forest is starting to kind of clear out a bit, and it looks like a lot of it has been tread over quite a lot, probably because lots of people have walked across it. And at this point, the going is pretty easy. Initially it was thick back by the main road, but now it's starting to clear out again because you're getting near what is some sort of clearing that you can now see through the thinning trees. So you wouldn't really have to do any check for that. Does anybody else want to do anything different?
Yeah, my character, she's a little concerned with all the noise we're making. So what she's going to do is she's going to take an alternate path to try and loop around and kind of come at it from a different angle, because between the half orc and the not super successful running along the treetops, the plan will be to kind of sneak up and at least not reveal herself quite so soon.
Okay. In that case, do a stealth check.
Okay.
So that's going to be in the same column here.
Yeah.
And it's just a d20 plus whatever the modifier is.
Uh, 16.
Yeah, so you actually managed to sort of like worm your way around the side of this clearing, and it doesn't seem like anybody notices you. And as you're working your way around, you can actually see that this clearing has a couple of sort of like ramshackle-looking lean-tos and tents. They look like they were made from scraps and boards and things that were like taken off of maybe old wagons, or there's an old tent that looks like part of it just used to be a sweater, and it's just kind of stitched in there to patch a hole. And right around the center of this clearing, there's a huge bonfire, and dancing around this bonfire and sort of singing in this really off-key, off-tempo, just awful sort of song are
Someone's gonna have
just
to fix this.
are just it looks like there's probably a dozen goblins of various shapes and sizes. Most of them are only about 3 or 4 feet high, but some of them are kind of a little bigger, a little smaller. There's a good variety of them, and they're like singing and beating on drums with absolutely no rhythm. Do a perception check.
All right.
Everyone?
Actually, everyone, yeah, since you've all kind of gotten up to the same clearing at this point.
14.
16.
Where's my perception?
I'm at a 10.
Oh, right. It's 14 minimum. So let me just.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay,
So
wait a minute. Yeah. If my passive wisdom is 18,
yeah.
so
So
does that mean I'm 18?
that would be essentially the same as rolling an 18,
Okay.
without any modifiers on it or anything. So getting closer to this this big clearing, you're all able to kind of like take in this same scene from various different angles, and a couple of you, basically anybody who rolled above a 15, you're actually able to see that in this big ring of goblins dancing around this bonfire, there's they're like tossing something back and forth, almost like a beach ball on the beach where you just like
Easy peasy.
and they're just kind of like batting it back and forth and laughing and just being like and do any of you guys let's see here, do any of you guys speak Goblin? Is that on any of your character sheets?
No.
No.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can't tell what they're saying. I mean, you can tell that they're making a pretty sad attempt to sing. And whenever that thing they're batting around comes towards them, there's a little cheer from whoever kind of like gets it and then bats it away. At one point, they kind of like somebody in the group actually gets their hands on it, and they kind of bat it in the air, and it drops into the fire. And then another one of the goblins just like jumps at it and bats it out of the fire after kind of like going and stomping through some of the embers and stuff, and batting it back into this ring. And with that, I think we're going to take a short break so that everybody can go to the bathroom, get a drink. And then we'll come back in about 5 to 10 minutes and sort of finish things off. Sound good?
All right.
Yep.
All righty. All right, we are recording again. So, welcome back, everybody. Hope you get a good break. We are currently just outside of what appears to be some manner of goblin camp. A large bonfire in the middle and a ring of horribly off-key singing goblins chanting and bouncing around and tossing some sort of object. It's difficult to tell from this distance, but kind of tossing it around like a beach ball. Occasionally it'll bounce into the fire or knock somebody on the head. It'll roll along the ground. It looks vaguely like a bundle about yay big. And with that, we're going to get back into... What do you guys want to do?
All right, I'm gonna.
So Chris has an idea. Yeah.
I'm gonna drop down from the tree. Am I in a? I'm in a tree.
Yeah, you're still
Yeah,
in the trees.
yeah, you're still currently in a tree.
I'm gonna
Looking
drop
down
down
on the scene.
I'm gonna drop down on the guy who's about. On the goblin who's about to catch the sack next.
Okay.
In the
So-
middle of everybody?
So
Are we
It's-
close enough to do that?
it's a
Are we-
pretty
yeah.
it's a pretty big clearing. So that'd be like maybe 30 feet out from the edge of the tree, because
Okay.
the general arrangement is sort of like a bonfire in the middle, a bunch of tents and lean-tos around, a space around that where it's just sort of open, and then the start of the tree line.
Speed's 30 feet.
And we're in the start of the tree
Do
line.
it.
You guys are
Well,
right at the
all
edge
right.
of the tree line.
So here's the thing. Our speed. We have 30-foot speed.
Yeah.
And we can do an extra long jump with second story work. So
Okay.
if we can do it, we're gonna do it.
Look at those guys reading the books and stuff.
So your speed is actually. Oh, excuse me. Your speed is actually the amount of distance you can move if you're walking or running. Your jumping distance is actually going to be a bit shorter. Let me double check on that because it's been a while since I had to do anything with jumping.
I don't see any jump-related things on the sheet.
Yeah.
Would that just be a dexterity roll?
Well, it's going to incorporate either dexterity or your strength, depending upon how you want to do it.
Like for jumping, like half distance or something like that. Just be a set that.
Yeah, if it's like half, that wouldn't work.
You could always try and draw them over.
Movement, crawling, combat, difficult terrain, flying, prone, blah 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 blah. Jumping, 182. Let's take a look at this. Let's see here. Stealth jumping, a long jump. You can make a long jump. When you make a long jump, you cover a number of feet up to your strength score if you move at least 10 feet on foot immediately before the jump. So essentially,
we couldn't do it.
You'd have to run and jump, and there isn't really enough space in the tree to make that kind of jump. You make a standing long jump, you can leap only half of that distance. Either way, each foot you clear on the jump costs a foot of movement.
All right, well then we're just going to get out of the tree and meet up with the other fellow adventurers to devise the plan for the ambush.
All right.
So with my wild shape ability, am I able to turn into one of the goblins?
No, it's more.
No?
It's more for things like animals.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to double check on that.
Goblins are animals, though.
No, they are. Let's see here.
Are they a playable race?
Technically, yes. Yeah.
All right, then they're fine. I guess they're not animals.
Yeah. They are. Their type is literally goblinoid. Like in the monster manual, it said like it'll tell you like the type of creature it is, whether it's like an animal or like monstrosity or an elemental or something, and theirs is literally goblinoid.
Goblin the goblinoid, gotcha.
Yes, exactly.
All right.
Stands to reason.
Like, what are we gonna call this? I don't know. I want to go home. Just put something.
All right, so we have Jeffrey on the far side of the clearing.
Yes.
And then we have, I'm assuming, the rest of us at pretty much one location on the other side.
You guys are all sort of clustered around in roughly the sort of straight line from the door of the inn all the way to this clearing. So it's just essentially you walked in a straight line there.
Yeah.
So we're still like in the wood line though, right?
Yeah, and so you're probably maybe like 5 to 10 feet in, and you know the bushes are pretty thick in certain spots, so you'd be able to hide behind them pretty easily without even having to do any stealth checks or anything like that. You'd essentially just like walk behind a big tree.
Yep, right.
So do we want to attack these people? Because if we do, I have some things, distraction type of stuff in my repertoire that could help us.
Well, I think we might need to figure out if that's even the baby.
Right, we're assuming these are the bad guys.
Yeah,
That's
so
true.
I mean, we don't even know if one, these are the guys who did it, or two, if that's the baby or where the baby is.
Fair enough.
So if anyone has any ideas of trying to figure out how we gather that information.
So the rogues could maybe sneak up and try and stealthily sneak up and observe from closer. Is there, since they're distracted with their bonfire thing, could we like get behind like one of their little encampment things to get a closer look?
I mean, you could try it. You can certainly try it. You can walk in there and do essentially whatever you want. So, I mean, if you want to try and get in there and be sneaky about stuff and whatever, that's just basically up to you.
Is there cover closer?
So between the edge of the tree line and where like the tents and lean-tos are, it's mostly clear. It looks like they kind of like walk through that area a lot, and it's been kind of cleared of debris and rocks and bushes and that type of thing. So there's sort of like maybe like a 10 to 15 foot gap depending upon where the tent is from the tree line. So you'd have to kind of cross that if you want.
do we want the bard? Because you were talking about how you have some distractions that you can do to help the rogues with their stealth check.
Yes, but it would be getting the attention of them of the goblins, as in like it would be an active thing.
So,
So at some point we would set them off that something's going on off. So now I'm not saying that I'm not. I just wanted to let you know that like if I throw like I've got a thing called dancing lights, and the way I'm looking at it is, if I'm the metal guy here, I've got like a floating rack of of lights behind me in like arena, and I can
a laser light show at the planetarium.
I have laser light shows basically.
We can say for flavor that you have a laser light show.
See, I mean, I'm working within the theme here.
Yeah.
love it.
But see, like if I fired off something like that, it may distract them, but it would definitely activate the situation. We would have to keep moving.
So
Let's do it.
What? Well,
I have an idea as well,
Okay.
potentially. So I still have my one glass beer stein. So I'm thinking of maybe giving it to our half-orc friend and tell him to chuck it on the other side, like into the, clearing on the other side to make a loud noise when it breaks, and then bolt for the encampment for some cover. So try and cover that 15 feet to
I wouldn't give that to me because I only have a +1 dexterity modifier.
And he's holding me.
And I'm holding TJ.
I think that would probably take that modifier away.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Right.
while this is going on, Jeffrey, what do you want to be doing?
I'm still hiding away from these guys.
Guys.
Understand.
Can I do another perception check on the bundle? What it is?
Yeah, sure.
See if I can tell from my vantage point.
Yeah, go for it. You there?
Everything's frozen.
Glitching? Oh.
Oh,
He's
Maybe-
back.
Oh, you're back.
There you go.
Be careful of
You're
your
alive.
So can I do a yay? Can I do another perception check to see if I can tell from my vantage point what the bundle is?
Absolutely, yes. Go for it.
All right.
Okay.
So 18.
So looking at this thing, it looks like it could be. I mean, it's baby sized. It's wrapped in cloth. It looks similar to a lot of the cloth that you remember Wilhelmina and Bob wrapping around this baby that they had been carrying with them. That's about all you can tell from here. I mean, it is like 30, 40 feet off, depending upon where you're at and where it's at in this ring of goblins around the campfire. So it's kind of tough to get a good read on it, but I don't know, it's certainly baby-sized.
Okay.
Vaguely baby-shaped.
I'm gonna stay hidden. I'm gonna see what the rest of the group does. I figure I'll be more useful if I'm unknown than I will be making myself known at this point.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So then back to you guys. What do you want to do?
I think we need to distract them or at least approach them. We have to do something, right? I mean,
we're gonna throw
Is there-
this sign.
my character is like a meat shield that's menacing and intimidating. I'm wondering if I can sort of emerge from the tree line as sort of like a bulk mass while one of the rogues can start searching
with
through
a
the
laser light
tents or
show
something.
behind you.
If
Yeah, I mean, hey, why not, right?
if we want to go the route of having you just like emerge out, I can try to do my call storm in your arms and shoot lightning bolts all around you to really draw attention at you.
That would draw attention, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would then go and start sneaking through their stuff.
Stuff.
We also, I don't want to assume that we just are we sure that's the baby? That's the one thing I'm just kind of like my spidey sense is
But we
tingling.
need to do baby check at least. So we'll go up and try to do baby check while you're shooting lightning out of.
Yeah, I mean, because from
fine.
where we're standing, we can't do a perception on it right now.
Okay, but we could perhaps. We do have rogues. We have tents in a circle behind us, a fire. if you've ever stood behind a tent, like in that situation, being behind that tent is extremely dark. It'd be very easy for the rogues to go up to these tents and start cutting into them, even little holes to try to look into them, potentially cut some, maybe cut through a door into one of them, and don't know. I think that is potentially a good thing to,
So you want to see if one of the rogues can get a better vantage point by going through the tents?
Potentially. Let's go take a look and see what's in these tents. They might be full of tigers.
Yeah.
Don't give me ideas.
I'm sure he has his own ideas. But yeah, let's go take a look. Like, they might be full of babies.
Lots of babies.
Lots and lots of babies.
True.
It's just
So many babies.
I might just keep playing.
So many babies.
400 babies.
Yeah, right.
We're gonna need
I'm
a
gonna
bigger
do-
wagon.
I'm gonna
I'm
do
down for
TJ a favor, and I'm gonna put him down.
Okay.
Put TJ down. I think I've realized that this requires the aid of 2 rogues, not just one in my arms and one in the feet.
I will cherish our moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my vote. Is that you guys go take a look at these tents and
So Chris and Jeffrey are rogues. Did you guys want to try to do that, or?
Yeah, so I would say, Jeff, you're away from us,
Yeah,
right?
so he's not really able to.
So you don't necessarily know what we're doing.
Yeah, he's not really able to communicate with you guys right now since he's on the other side of the clearing. I mean, he's certainly keeping an eye out for you, I'm assuming. But he wouldn't be able to see you guys from where you are.
All right.
Well,
So
wait a minute. We can communicate to him.
can we communicate to him?
I think so.
Well, one of you can.
One of us is less good at communicating, and one of us is better.
The thieves can't. It's a secret mix of dialect, jargon, and code that allows you to hide messages in seemingly normal conversation. Maybe not.
Maybe.
Yeah, we're not telepathic though.
Unless you want to scream across the chasm. I don't know.
Well, it sounds like
In addition, you understand a set of secret signs and symbols used to convey short, simple messages, such as whether an arena is dangerous or the territory of a thieves guild.
Oh, so we could do
whether
some
loot is nearby.
We could do
so
some
you
skill
can do
team 6
you
like
can do
hands.
gang signs and you can do pig
Yeah.
Latin.
Fly one of these. Yeah.
Could he see our gang signs so we can
No.
let him in with the plan?
I think that's more like. I think that's
The
more
dragon
like
dismay is
feel.
over a snot snake.
Right.
Yeah.
Can we do something like that?
No.
Yeah, I mean, thieves can't, and that type of stuff is generally more for things like actual conversation, like, talking to somebody face to face, and then putting hidden meanings in that talk, and then also doing things like, say, scratching a symbol on a wall or something, kind of like those hobo signs and stuff, where each specific symbol has a meaning, like, oh, there's food here, or the people are friendly, or oh, there's lots of cops. It's generally that type of thing. It's the same general idea.
Maybe like a door breach if you're right next to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just thinking right now our best plan that we've come up with between laser light shows, lightning blasts, and cutting into a tent, I think that third one is kind of the smartest.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
All right, so how do you guys want to do this?
Why don't you roll? And I have a dumb idea if it comes to me.
Nope, it's mine.
Yours. Okay, never mind. You're in
Do we want a distraction? That's my question. If we want a distraction, we have options there. Do you want to just do it completely stealth?
I think we could try cutting the tent, and if they notice or something, then we just blast them with a distraction and go full balls.
Sounds good.
So what am I rolling? A stealth?
Yeah, you do a stealth check to get in there and get up by one of the tents or lean-tos or whatever.
All right, here we go.
Do we have advantage because they're distracted?
You would probably have advantage on this one, yeah, since they're actually all over by the fire and not really looking at you guys anyway.
Okay.
19 then.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they it doesn't seem like anybody notices you. They're all dancing around the fire, being a bunch of assholes. A lot of them seem like they might be drunk, though. I mean, they're goblins, so who can really tell anyway? But yeah, you managed to just essentially waltz right up to one of the tents, and nobody pays you any mind, just since they're also distracted batting around this beach ball bundle thing.
All right.
So what do we find in the tent?
So
What do we
we're
find in
cutting
the
into
first
the tent and hiding in there.
Yeah, so putting a little cut in the tent and looking through, it just looks like the usual insides of a tent. You know, there's a little bedroll and there's like a pile of rags in one spot that looks like it might be a spot for somebody to sleep. It's not exactly exciting. There don't appear to be any sort of valuables in there, though it does look like there's a really shitty hatchet just kind of laying on the ground. Right next to just like some wood shavings or something. It looks like somebody was trying to do a really shitty job of whittling something with a hatchet. And once again, goblins are not very smart.
Can we do a perception check on the bundle from here? Like, do we have a better view of it?
Yeah, you'd be able to kind of see it as it comes around the circle towards you. So yeah, do a perception check.
Boom. Yes.
That's a good one.
25.
25. Yeah, so
I ain't rolling that. Just needed some charcuterie.
So as
they're power the meat.
as they're kind of like batting this thing through the air, it actually comes pretty close to you guys, and just on the other side of the tent from where you are, like the far side. And it's a pretty small tent. It's only like the size of maybe like a two-person laying down tent. One of the goblins kind of catches it like a football and then like lifts it up and tosses it back into the circle, and you can see that it absolutely. Hello, kitty. is that the Polycount HR department?
That is the assistant director.
Well,
assistant director Meowsers.
Aha. Well, it's good to see you, Meowsers. Yeah, you do see that as this little goblin who's maybe only like 4 feet tall kind of tosses it, he lifts it over his head, and it comes into pretty plain view for you, and you can see that it's absolutely made of, or at least wrapped in the same cloth that you saw the baby wrapped in, little Eleanor, on several occasions. It's this kind of patterned fabric that it's like a slight floral pattern. It's a little bit faded, and it's wrapped similar to how you would swaddle a baby. So it's like, wrapped around and pinned in place, and it's just got a little hole for the face. It's tough to see the actual face just because of how stark the lighting is. It's very bright on the other side where the bonfire is, and very dark over where you are. But at those glancing angles, you can actually see the pattern of the fabric.
Are all the goblins involved in this thing, or are there like some wanderers?
It looks like basically everybody's involved to some degree or another. There are some of them who are like sitting down, like beating on really shitty drums, and others are like kind of like rubbing textured sticks together to make like sounds to kind of go with the drumming, and just very primitive instruments, that type of thing. But everybody's sort of paying attention to this bonfire and what's going on around it.
Okay, so we couldn't. There's no one walking by that we could try and grab and pull into the tent to interrogate.
Doesn't look like it. No.
All right. Should we head back to the group?
Yeah, I was gonna say none of us know what's going on.
Yeah.
Let's go tell them.
So quick do a roll for me, Sulz.
What am I doing?
Just to see if you do a thing or I do a thing. If you roll for me, I'm gonna do something.
Yep, you're up.
Okay, so as we leave through the tent that we cut, the hole that we cut in the tent, I'm gonna reach into my explorer's pack and pull out a torch and a tinderbox and light the tent on fire.
Oh man!
All right.
And give the goblins the finger through the tent wall as I light it. Like,
all right. Yeah. It lights up pretty quickly. It seems to be not flame retardant fabric, certainly.
Okay. So as it goes up, we're scurrying back to the group to tell them everything you just told us. But they're just pretty sure it's a baby. He's wearing the baby clothes, big size, and it's probably a baby. And did you guys see that tent? That's hilarious, right? It's totally a distraction.
So yeah, as you guys are leaving, the tent lights up, and you guys sort of watch over his shoulder as this tent just bursts into flames as he's explaining this in slightly slurring language. Actually, Jeffrey, across the clearing, you see that one of the tents lights up, just goes, and it just bursts into flame, and immediately all of the goblins sort of stop what they're doing and kind of like they're stunned for a second, and then one of the goblins actually sort of like turns around to the other ones and looks at the burning tent, turns around again, and then he goes, "Ha!" And he goes and grabs one of the logs from the fire and starts lighting up other tents, just cackling.
2 bonfires.
And all the rest of the goblins start doing this as well. They're like, "Ha, ha, ha, ha!" And it's like they're just having a party at this point. They're just like, "This is great! Everything's on fire!"
Oh Lord.
From where we are, are they still passing around the baby? Or are they focused on moving the fire to making 2 stacks now?
Do a perception check.
Okay. I got
Checking
13.
the batteries in my laser light show.
It's tough to see where the baby is at this point. I mean, last you saw, it was still kind of like bouncing around towards the far side of the fire. And it's presumably still over there, but you don't see anybody moving around with it. However, you do see that one of the tents on the far side of the camp, on this far side of the ring, it's a little bigger than the other ones, and the tent flap kind of opens up, and it seems like a pretty much like a better tent than most of the other ones. It's sort of in better shape, and it's a little larger. The tent flap opens up, and this really big, like 6.5 foot tall, furry, bare-chested sort of, I don't know, he looks a little bit like an orc in that he's got these like bestial features, but he's got kind of like longer ears, and his whole body is covered in this sort of like downy fur. He kind of like steps out and like looks around and he shouts something in the same language that the goblins were saying. And he starts like pointing, and you can see that he kind of like kicks at one of them, and there's like this because he definitely hit his mark. And he starts like pointing at all of the tents that are on fire, and he's just angry, like, and it's pretty clear even from this far away, and even without understanding the language, that he's scolding all of the goblins for lighting their own camp on fire, and he actually like wags his finger at them at one point.
Oh, so he's somewhat intelligent and he has some reasoning.
Yeah. Jeffrey, what are you doing?
Do I see where the baby is, or the bundle?
Do a perception check.
All right. 16.
You don't see exactly where it is, but judging from where you were looking when you last saw it, it seems like it's actually fairly near that large tent where the big kind of hulking dude just walked out of. So presumably if somebody didn't run off with it, it's probably on the ground over there.
I'm going to stay hidden in the tree line, but I'm going to try and move around slightly to get a better angle towards where I last saw the bundle.
Okay. Do you want to do another perception check?
Sure.
All right, go for it.
That is even worse, so that's 12.
Yeah, just because of the fact that there's lots of commotion now, and this big guy is trying to like wrangle all these goblins. It looks like there's probably 18 or 20 goblins now, and he's trying to just like, it's like herding cats. He's just trying to stop them from lighting everything on fire and being complete assholes, little pyromaniac shitheads. And you know, with all this commotion, it's kind of tough to see exactly where that bundle might be.
All right, so my character, she's gonna notch an arrow but stay hidden.
Okay, cool. All right, what are the rest of you doing?
So there's just a bunch of chaos right now. Right?
There is a bunch of chaos, and it seems like it's slowly calming down. This big furry guy seems to be slowly managing to get all these goblins in line, but they're still being little assholes.
I'm wondering if I don't know how all you guys feel about this, but I was thinking if I could use like menacing and intimidation, if I could do like a primal roar or yell or something like that to kind of like freeze them with a fear of like something, you know, like
Can I blast the big guy in the face with my lightning?
You can certainly try.
I don't know if that goes against what you were saying with your whole intimidation thing, or.
Well, I was going like I'm still under the assumption that these are not exactly the enemy, so I guess something just is fishy here. So I want to sort of attempt in some ways to help the big guy corral the guy, because I think everyone benefits from the goblins stopping their freaking out.
So you're trying to get on the good graces of this furry beast.
In some ways, but but in doing so, showing him how strong and intimidating I am, so he knows still not to mess with me.
I'm gonna hide behind our big friend over here.
I think that's a good idea. Yeah.
Complete trust in him. All my trust is on his shoulders.
All right.
Okay, so to officialize it, I'd like to emerge from the tree line with a primal yell, hopefully utilizing my menacing and intimidation to sort of like freeze them for a moment in a moment of terror.
Can we assist him?
How would you like to assist?
I would get out my axe, my guitar, and fire up my dancing lights, and start up a 1976 Kiss flash pots with laser light shows with the classic entrance of Gene Simmons for the God of Thunder bass solo up behind him, with the smoke and the fire, and use that as his entrance.
All right. Yes.
Real quick, while that's going on, we're gonna scamper up the tree. Get in the canopy.
All right.
There's a lot of checks going on here.
Yeah.
Okay, so in that case, I'm going to need each person really to explain exactly what they want to do as this is happening, just so that I have a good idea of what exactly is happening. So let's just start with Chris and Sean. What you guys are scampering up the tree, right?
Yeah,
just go up the tree.
Yeah.
Do you just want to wait up there?
Maybe. Yeah. Potentially, if someone comes over, we can drop down and stealth attack them.
Okay, cool. TJ, what are you doing?
I'm gonna stand behind Matthew's character and just kind of be like, "Woo, go Jamco Milner!"
All right, cool. So just kind of like
I'm cheering him on.
Yeah,
like I said, I'm
on.
all for his plan.
You're his hype man. Okay,
Yeah.
Cool. Drew, you're doing just this laser light show and other shit, right?
Oh yes, absolutely.
Just trying to make things look as impressive as possible.
Absolutely.
All right. And Matthew, you are just trying to run in there, and how do you want to actually emerge from the forest? Like, what's your plan? What's your performance sort of plan here? Walk me through it. Paint me a word picture.
Paint a picture? Okay. I am going to confidently emerge from the forest.
Chest puffed out.
Yeah. Peacocking all over the place, and I'm going to mightily roar into the night sky with all of my strength and might that I can, screaming at the top of my lungs. Nothing of attacking or pushing, just simple noise. And I'm hoping that with the I roar so loud. No, I'm not. Chris messaged me something completely naughty, and I'm not going to say that. So I roar so loud in an attempt to freeze them with terror.
All right.
Are you weapons in hand?
No, I am barehanded.
Okay.
So you're just like, that's like hulking out. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. So then what I want you to do is do a performance check with advantage.
Okay. Where is my performance? Performance +2.
Is there any cheerleader check I can do while this is going on? Or?
Because you're helping him, that's what gives him an advantage on it. So
okay, yeah.
You and Drew are helping him, and that gives him an
I'm
advantage on this check.
I'm doing 2 rolls.
Yeah, 2 rolls and take the higher of the 2. Yes.
Ooh.
That's pretty good.
Very good.
No, wait. I think I did that wrong.
Oh.
I did that wrong.
Oh, you did.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
rolled 2.
Yeah.
Let's do that again. Let's do that again. Okay. That was the.
Okay, that
There
one's
we go.
That one's better.
Okay. The first one was
29.
the-
Dang.
Yeah, I was gonna say 29. That's something the Drew would do as a bard. My God. Yeah. So striding confidently into this clearing, you're actually able to look around for a second, kind of get your bearings, and then you give the signal. It's just like and just a thumbs up, and then the lights just go off behind you. You can actually see, just from your perspective, the entire clearing lights up with multicolored moving lights. There are these beams of light that cast out from behind you. You can actually see that as you lift your arms, light shines not just past your head, but like through, underneath your underarms and like out. It's almost like this glorious feeling that you're a god striding onto this plane, and you let out this just bestial roar, trying to draw the attention of all these guys. And you've already got their attention because of this crazy light show bursting out from behind you. But then they sort of are taken aback as you let out this cacophonous sound from your lungs, just deep in your middle, and it's just like almost like this bellowing horn call.
Yeah,
And
you're familiar.
Lots of skulls in the
Oh, yes,
light
yes.
shows.
Yes, lots of skulls sort of being projected, almost like with spotlights. It's multicolored, blues and pinks and reds and greens everywhere.
My shirt just like rips open down the side
Yeah,
of its own.
you managed to flex so hard that a couple of the buttons on your armor sort of pop off and go flying in different directions, and everyone in the clearing stops what they're doing, turns around, and sees this hulking half-orc just striding in, light streaming in behind him, his smaller friend cheering him on just behind. And the commotion just stops dead in its tracks. And this tall, furry guy who was, previously giving orders to all the goblins, just like, he's like, what the fuck is this? What is going on? He has this look on his face of like, what have I got myself into? What is happening to me today? And at this point, you have a couple of seconds where it seems like things are kind of calm, but everybody's sort of in a state of shock. What do you want to do?
Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
I'd love to see you loose that arrow, Jeffrey.
Well, are we? So the whole idea of this was to for him to see if these were the bad guys or not. I mean,
Yeah.
well,
Okay,
Jeffrey's
so-
character doesn't know that.
So
I
in
mean,
this
he could.
case, Jeffrey, what would you like to do, seeing this incredible show?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna wait to see what the hell this plan is.
Yeah.
Because this is causing me to sigh very quietly, and I regret
All right.
playing this.
All right.
That's true.
So then-
in the moment of sheer awe that everyone is now finding themselves in, I glance around at everyone, all the goblins' direction, and using my intimidation, not the menacing part of it, but just my sheer of what they just saw, the intimidation of my being, I quickly point with my large half orc size hand towards the main tent and just glare at them, hoping that they get the message just to quiet and
Okay. Yeah, do an intimidation check.
Okay.
With advantage, since you're still in the residual high there.
Jim Cobbler!
All right. That's one. That's one. That's the second one. All right. So 21.
All right. Yeah.
Intimidation.
So for a second, all these short little ugly goblins with their kind of orangey skin and their just awful pallor sort of stare at you with bulging eyes, and they, you can see a couple of them have sweat dripping down their faces as they stare at what can only be some kind of god, some deity, some sort of extraplanar entity, something. And seeing the direction that they are being told to go, they all look back to the large, furry creature. They glance at him. They all glance back at you, and then you can actually see one of them just kind of go. And then he just leaps on the big furry guy and starts like gnawing at him. And then all the rest of them start piling on, just like, ripping bits off. You can actually see little bits of fur flying out from the pile. Let me see here.
You now have a following.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
And
When you have an army.
there's this horrible like shrieking sound as that is quickly cut off. It's like this sort of sound that emanates from this writhing mass of 24 goblins just crawling over each other like a pile of worms trying to get at this guy. And as things start to sort of calm down and these goblins fall off the pile in exhaustion, having just exerted themselves even more after dancing around this fire and such, you start to see that there are some of them who are actually covered in spatters of blood and little bits of fur. It's a pretty gory sight. It's very ugly. And then as this sort of like calms down, one of them sits up, and you can see it's actually the one who like shrugged first and then went for it. He like stands up and kind of like just walks over his friends. It gets to the point in the clearing closest to you where there's nothing on the ground, and sort of drops to his knees, and he stares at you in awe, and that's basically it. And then as he's doing this, some of his friends start to like follow him, and they sort of like gather around you. They're very quiet. They're very sedate after seeing them dancing around this fire and tear somebody to pieces. They seem just quiet. It's kind of creepy. They all just kind of sort of flow around you and just stare up at you in awe at what and they start to like motion for you. You can hear little snatches of speech, and one of them you can hear is actually speaking in the common tongue. You can understand when he says, "What now? What can we do? What can we do? What can we do now?
Ooh,
Lead us."
great power.
As soon as this fighting starts, I'm gonna make my way with stealth towards where I last saw the bundle.
Okay. Do a stealth check with advantage, since everybody's kind of in a tussle right now.
21's the higher.
All right. Yeah, you essentially are able to waltz right up to it since everybody's so distracted. And I mean, you're still careful about not stepping on any twigs or anything, but you manage to get over there with absolutely no problem. And you can see that the bundle is just laying on the ground, looking very disheveled, and it's just off to the side of the big bonfire, just laying there, completely ignored.
All right, I'll pick it up.
Yeah, so picking it up, it seems very lightweight, and sort of turning it over in your hands, you see that it doesn't actually have a hole for the face where you would expect it to be with swatting clothes. It's just like a cocoon of blanket.
They stole the blanket.
Okay. Is it our turn?
I mean, it's really up to whatever Jeffrey wants to do at this point.
So I hold it up and I sort of unravel it so that I don't know where everyone else is other than our half-orc friend. But I sort of hold it up so people can see that it's just a blanket.
All right. The rest of you do perception checks.
I got a 9.
Ooh, 21.
16.
I mean, granted, I'm standing behind a half orc, so I'm not gonna see anything.
Yeah.
Hey, a half god. Thank you.
I was your first follower. I don't think I need to be
That's-
reminded.
That's true. That's true.
So
I might actually use that in a little bit. So
because all those dancing lights were so bright and they all reflected back in your eyes so much, it's kind of hard to see anything behind what's in front of you. But Matthew, you're actually able to see, looking over with that pretty fucking decent roll. There's a shape over on the other side of the bonfire. It's a humanoid shape, and it looking closer, you can actually see that it's your friend who snuck along over there, and he's holding up the bundle. And looking closer, you can actually see that he's just kind of like tossing it around a little bit. It's just a bundle. It's literally just a bundle of cloth.
Can I check for something?
Yeah, sure.
Can I check in the any of the other burned tents to see if there's a baby?
Sure.
So it was just the one tent that burned, right?
Well,
But
it
they
was
started
at
the
first,
goblins
but
started the
then
fires.
Gotcha.
then they got so excited about all of the fire that was happening, they just had to start more. So looking through a couple of the other tents now, with these goblins sort of pawing at your friend, just being like, "Do something with us." You don't actually find any sort of remains. I mean, you do find like some small animals in one of the tents that have been slaughtered, and it looks like they're ready to be roast over fire or something like that.
Right.
There's a rabbit, and there's a couple of like possums and that type of thing, but there's certainly no babies. Do you want to work your way over to the big tent or stick with the other ones, or?
Yeah, let's go to the big one.
Okay.
And like
Matt,
check that one out.
Matt, what do you want to be doing right now? Do you want to?
So I'm going to actually, Chris, why don't you hold off on that, because I'm going to actually use TJ as my first follower as something to actually have somewhat of my advantage. Now I don't have very high charisma, so this is going to have to be simply a cold, calm, collected, move. But because they don't speak they do speak our language, right? One of them does.
At least one of them does.
Okay. Yeah. I'm going to again use intimidation, and I'm going to say bluntly to the goblins, simply wait, and then I'm going to motion to DJ to go search the big tent, and he hopefully should be able to calmly walk. I'm hoping.
All right. Do an intimidation check with advantage.
Okay.
And TJ, you just want to walk over there?
Yeah, I'm just gonna head over to the tent and just check the inside, see if I can find the baby.
Can you roll one?
The 2 11s.
No.
Luckily these goblins seem to be so enthralled by you that they don't. It doesn't take much to persuade them to just kind of like stay where they are and just keep gazing at you. But yeah, TJ, walking over to this large tent, you sort of meet up with Jeffrey, and you guys are both able to actually start poking around inside the large tent.
Can I do something while they're poking around?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, so Chris just rolled for me, so I'm gonna wander over to TJ. And I'm gonna put my arm around his shoulder and show all the goblins that like we're best buds. I'm gonna hold up my empty beer stein and start pointing to it and like pretending to drink, like asking to see if they got any booze.
All right.
I'm glad that you're because you know me, it's cool with them now. That's
Bring with the
Yeah.
goblins.
Oh, wait, sorry, not TJ, with our half orc buddy who's
Oh.
Oh,
sorry.
okay.
Yeah, Matt. Sorry,
I'm not that. I yeah.
I high five you as we pass.
Okay.
Getting
Okay.
on high fives, just like when you fell from the tree.
Oh man.
All right, so walking over there, the goblins sort of, they're like initially suspicious, but then when your half orc friend sort of welcomes you towards him, they all sort of like part the ways, and they're like, oh, another one. And as you get over, with your mug, and you're like, one of the shorter of the goblins kind of like tugs at your clothing, and he's like starts pointing at the big tent. He's like, ha, ha, come, and he starts leading you over there.
Okay, so I'm heading over towards TJ.
Yeah.
And, okay.
All right.
Jeffrey. Okay.
All right, so TJ and Jeffrey, what do you guys want to do?
Ransack the tent looking for a baby.
Okay.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
All right, and Drew, is there anything you want to be doing right now?
Let's see. I'm going to continue with the dancing lights, with hot spotlights on everybody. You know, accenting with blues and greens and purples.
Of course.
But,
do you want to?
And then go into a Zeppelin guitar solo. Maybe
Great.
Stairway to Heaven. You know, you're just kind of entertaining them and whatnot. That's what I do.
Keeping up the ambiance.
Keeping up the ambience and mix in with that charm person.
All right. I haven't used charm person in a while. Let me see here. Charm person.
Basically, you know, double downing on the the herding, the goblin herding.
Okay. Regards you as a friendly acquaintance. Yeah. Everyone should appreciate. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Is there anything you want to do with your charm? Essentially,
I'm doubling down on the godlike nature of our friend. You know,
right. Okay.
I'm giving him, you know, much more of a performance. I'm just the the bass player behind him, growling.
So, in that case, what is your spell save DC? It'll be right at the top of your spell sheet.
15.
Alrighty. Yeah, he's the goblin that you happen to walk up to and just like pat on the shoulder as you're casting this. He's just enthralled, and he's like, "Yeah, this guy, man, yeah." He's totally on board. He's like, "Yeah, dude, I'm with you." This light show, his impressive stature, which is, I mean, it's pretty average for a half orc, but by goblin standards, you know, you are literally twice their height in most cases. So yeah, it's pretty fucking impressive.
And he's in the perfect light.
Oh yeah, he's in absolute.
I mean, my pectorals are rippling right
Yeah.
now.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
undulating back.
Yeah.
We are never going to be able to go to dinner with you ever. You're just telling stories like, you know, I was a god once. It's not that big of a deal.
All right, so the three of you looking through the large tent, do some investigation checks for me.
Investigation.
Okay, I got a 0 on my investigation modifier. So, hey, 20. Hey.
That's better than my 8.
And Chris and Sean?
They got a 6.
Oh, 6. Gotcha. Well, that's a good thing. I mean, because it's pretty dark in the tent, and with the bright bonfire, it's kind of tough to see anything in there anyway. But TJ, you do happen to see that there is a scrap of paper kind of tucked under the pillow of the bed. And getting into this tent, you can actually see that it's surprisingly nice in there. There's actually a cot, not just like a bedroll or something, but there's an actual cot with, you know, blankets and a pillow. There's actually a small chest over in one corner, and there's even like what looks like a small writing desk or something with some papers and other documents on it. There's a pile of clothes in one corner. It's actually a pretty livable place. But looking at that little scrap of paper, you go and you take a look, and you can see that it actually has some writing on it.
I swear, if this writing is some sort of plot to get Bob and whatever her name was to not pay us, and they scurry off, I'm gonna be so mad. I'm gonna read the paper.
So as you go and you read the paper, it's in pretty simple language, but it is literally exactly that.
Gosh, I knew it! The moment we left the inn, I knew it.
I perception checked that
Yeah,
at the very
he-
beginning.
He knew. We got played. There was no base.
Well, now I know what to do with those goblins.
Yeah.
Oh man.
All right, so I guess I leave the tent with my arms flailing like this and go and tell my big friend over here what's going down.
Oh man. Oh boy, what a twist.
Is there anything valuable in the tent that I can steal?
You've got to make this up somehow.
Actually, looking through the contents of the chest, you do find that there is a small sack of gold that looks like it is the amount of the exact amount of payment that you would expect for one of you for the entire trip.
I'm gonna pocket that. Was anyone else in the?
Well, the other two guys are in there.
Chris is still. I left. Chris is in there.
Do a sleight of hand check.
You know what, Chris? Do you want to split this?
Oh,
And just not
no.
mention it? We're both folks.
Maybe roll for matter.
Wait. They didn't roll to see which one would say yes
Yeah,
or no.
right.
Oh, wait, yeah. Well, no, I did because I'm.
You did roll for you.
It was for me.
Fair enough.
Yeah, we'll split it.
Ah.
So we split it.
Right.
All right. So then we'll walk out of the tent and we'll say there's nothing left in there.
Roll once more for me. Okay. So are we leaving the tent?
Do a deception check. And
Oh,
We have
us?
to yeah, we
yeah,
gotta deceive
you,
our-
and then the rest of you. The rest
Natural
of you.
20.
Oh well, in that case, it doesn't. Well, actually, everybody else do an insight check. Aside from Jeffrey, because he's kind of in on it.
Let's see.
Oh, so they might be suspicious of us.
That girl thinks of nothing.
I got 9. 8 and 9.
I got 14. No.
All right, sweet. Yeah. So I mean, as far as the rest of your friends know, you guys didn't find anything specific in there aside from a very annoying note.
Rogues got to take care of each other.
Did that goblin point us in the direction of booze by any chance?
Yeah, there was a small cask of kind of cheap ale in there, along with some of the other various accoutrements, just like something about yay big.
Okay.
And no cups or anything, but the small cask.
He's got his own.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Probably
I
got his
brought
own.
mine.
Yeah. So
So did somebody tell Matt to send the goblins after?
Yeah, I'm heading back now
Okay.
with my arms flailing through the sky to tell Matt what's going on.
All right, we're gonna grab a flaming stick somewhere and just torch that last tent. We're pretty grumpy about the contents of that note.
All right. Yeah, it goes up just like the rest of the tents did. And briefly, the goblins seem a little like surprised that this happened, but then they're like, "Oh, we don't give a fuck. He's dead anyway."
Is the note? I mean, wait. Does TJ tell me about the contents? I don't know.
Does he tell you about the contents? I don't know.
Here's the note. I don't want to say it. Here's the note.
Okay.
Okay.
Is the note signed by anyone, or is just like an anonymous note?
It doesn't seem to be signed.
Okay.
I mean, it's very clearly written in, a pretty fine hand. It seems very practiced. It's not like some sort of 5-year-old wrote it or something. It's like it's clearly written by somebody who's used to writing, whether it's
Deceitful notes.
letters or
Oh,
bills of sale or whatever.
Can I use Thieves' Cant on it to see if there's any secret message in there?
Sure.
All right, what do I need to do?
Just read
Yeah,
through
roll
it.
a
Yeah, sure.
roll a dice.
And honestly,
There's not, but yeah.
Yeah, you can take a look at the note, look at it closely, but you don't actually find any of the key words or phrases that are typically associated with Thieves' Cant.
Okay. Good.
It seems pretty forthright, and it's written in simple enough English language that it was probably specifically written for that big furry dude to make all of his instructions absolutely clear.
Okay.
Am I frozen? I seem to be frozen on my screen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you, but it's currently giving me a little spinny circle.
You look really enthralled with what's going on in your camera.
Yes,
Yes.
I was about to say. I mean, for an image to freeze on, it wasn't a bad one.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
there you go.
Yeah, there we go. Yay.
All right, excellent. Thank you.
I turn to the goblin's note in hand, and I say to them in as plain a language as I can muster that the people who gave you this note hurt your god.
I love it. That's awesome.
So follow me to hurt them back. As plain a language as I can muster.
All right. Do a performance check with advantage.
I love how this turned from like a rescue mission to us marching an army of goblins after some people.
Do we know if the town is going to be happy with us marching an army of goblins in, or are we going to have
Of course
to?
we don't know.
I feel like at this point we're scorned enough that we kind of don't care.
Yeah. All right, so I got 14 is my highest. So.
Yeah, they seem pretty much on board with basically everything you're saying and doing. A few of them seem like they just want to light more stuff on fire. So as long as you can muster up some excitement for them, they seem like they're itching for it. So.
All right. I guess I begin then to. I nod to TJ and the others and begin to march into the woods, hoping, I don't know if they will, but I'm hoping the goblins will begin to follow me.
All right. Yeah, they seem pretty content with just following you around doing whatever you're doing, essentially.
I am gonna march to the front of the goblins and make sure that like I'm right next to Matt and be like, hey, I was here first. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have a baton? You could like paradely.
They do kind of grudgingly let you through, but yeah. So you're up there.
Good.
I'm going to head ahead of them as much as possible because I have the feeling that as soon as we march a bunch of goblins into the inn, any sort of evidence we could collect will be destroyed.
Yeah.
So I want to get there first to kind of see if we can get any leads.
Okay, great. So you guys managed to walk back out through the forest along the same path you took, and as you keep walking, these goblins seem to be getting like more and more anxious and ready for something, some sort of excitement. They're just like and as you approach the inn, you see that the door is still wide open, and there's actually a bit of movement happening. There are people moving around, grabbing belongings and making sure that they have all their shit. It could be because somebody just had their child kidnapped. But everybody do a perception check.
22.
24.
Hey.
15.
Matt, you are so enthralled by your group of followers that, I mean, the movement up ahead seems vaguely important, but really you're just basking in the glow. But these other folks, they, actually paying attention to what they're doing, they realize that up ahead, all the carts and stuff that came in with the caravan were set up in a certain way. They were all chained together, and Wilhelmina and Bob's, they were in a specific spot, and now that cart is gone. And looking around, you don't see them amongst the people who are moving around checking their belongings and stuff. They seem to have fled.
So we want to check that whole area with the cart to see if there's any sign of them like some kind of
Like where
path
they
or
went?
trail. Yeah, the direction.
Okay, yeah, do an investigation check.
While they're doing that, can I let Matt know what's going down and be like,
yeah, please.
they're gone. We should probably not march in there. They're not there.
Yeah, so you actually managed to stop him just before he and his army of goblins just march out of the forest towards the inn, and just like put your hand on his chest. And initially the goblins were like, "Don't touch him," but then they sort of calmed down a little bit after a little bit of placation.
I'm going to go to the couple's room and see what I can investigate and find in there, see if there's anything left.
So what was the investigation check for checking the spot for their wagon?
8.
8. Yeah, I mean,
Not so great.
it's the wagon is certainly gone, along with the horses that were being used to pull it.
Confirm that.
You also see that just like looking into the stables, just like a quick glance shows that your horses are no longer there, but there's no indication of specifically where these two went with their wagon. Now, you wanted to investigate their room?
Yeah.
Yeah, do an investigation check.
10.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like they kind of left in a hurry, and there's actually a couple of small belongings still there, along with like a wrap for the like swaddling clothes for the baby, and a couple of other like small trinkets. There's like one shoe. Looks like they packed up a bunch of shoes and just like accidentally missed one as they were tossing shit in their trunk.
Anything valuable?
Doesn't look like it, no.
Okay.
Matt looks like he has an idea.
I come back down.
Oh, I was about to say, can you bring me the shoe?
All right. After he tells me to get the shoe, I'll go back up and get the shoe and come back down and give him the shoe.
I want to try something. It could be something stupid, but okay. So I have the shoe.
That is the best type of thing to try.
Absolutely.
All right. With the Bob's or Wilhelmina's shoe in hand, I hand it to the goblin troop, and in plain language, say, "The people that hurt your god."
The emphasis on God.
Have disappeared. This was on their body. Can you use this to, like a dog? I want as an aside to the other guys, like a dog.
As a dog.
As a dog, use the scent of the shoe to pick up where they went. We need to find them. And the emphasis is on find them. I want to use my intimidation with that find them so they know what I...
All right, so as you hand them this shoe, they sort of like take it and they start pulling it up. And one of them in particular, one of these goblins in particular, kind of like steps up, and he's a little bit smaller than the other ones, and kind of like almost like emaciated looking, like he's just a little too thin, and it's really uncomfortable. But at the same time, he actually has a huge fucking nose. And he almost like crawls a little bit. He like as he's walking, he does this kind of like Gollum shuffle, and he takes the shoe, he looks at it. It's like, I don't know what the fuck this thing is, but it smells. And he just goes, and he tosses it, and then just starts booking it down the road, directly in the same way that you guys were heading anyway. And with that, the rest of the goblins just head out onto the road with no regard for any of these people that are moving around in front of the inn. And a couple of them like stop and like look at some of the people in the inn, but then they see where their friends are going, and they're like, oh! They do the kind of like dog following his friends thing, and they just run, just off into the night. And you can hear them all like cackling and running and just like whooping and hollering, and they just disappear into the dark. They just go. They just fucking go.
Be careful.
You know what? I gotta do what my character would do. I charge right the hell after that. Reckless abandon. I'm going with my newfound friends. I start running in that general direction.
All right. What are the rest of you doing?
Is there any unaccompanied horses around?
I was just about to say we might see if we could steal a horse, perhaps.
Yeah. Do another investigation check with advantage, since you already kind of took a look around. Yeah, with advantage.
17.
Ooh.
Yeah. You actually do find
18.
that. Oh yeah. A couple of you do find more or less at the same time that there are a couple of horses that are just kind of like hitched up to one of the bars out front, kind of like in an Old West sort of town type of deal. There's like a watering trough with a thing to tie up your horse, and there are a couple just kind of like standing there. People aren't really paying too much attention to them. There's only like 2 or 3. The third one looks like it might be taken care of by somebody, but the other 2 are certainly, not being looked after. They're just kind of standing there.
So 2 of us have to double up.
Well, we're one person.
Yeah, you're one person. So really, it's just going to be 2 people on one of them.
Oh, okay.
And then one guy who's just off running.
No, we got our bard and we got our.
Oh yeah. That's right.
We're gonna grab one of the
Oh,
horses and go and sloppily say, I was drinking, I can't drive. You take the wheel and grab whichever one between our bard and our elf is closer. And just
All right.
try and yank them
All right. So doubling up on these horses, you all mount up, get ready to start chasing after your friend and his army of goblins. Eyes set out on the trail towards the largest city in this area of the continent, and ready to embark on this next stage of your adventure. And I think that's where we're going to end things.
Nice.
All right.
So,
Awesome.
if you guys want, we can pick this up again in a future episode. I would love to have all of you back again at some point. And I'm probably going to be doing these every other week, so there's probably going to be a lot of the same faces rotating through. So, keep your eyes on your character sheets, make sure that you have them on hand, and get ready to go after Wilhelmina and Bob, and potentially little Eleanor.
Fair enough.
Sounds good.
All right.
This was a
Thank you.
blast.
Yeah, this was awesome.
This was
Thank you.
This was fantastic.
All right. Well, yeah, I hope you guys had a really good time, and I hope you guys would consider, coming back on here again. Future episodes will be live, and I'm definitely planning on doing things like streaming out on Twitch and YouTube. So, yeah, I will be putting the recording for this up on YouTube probably on Tuesday or Wednesday of this coming week. So, yeah, I'll be.
Let me know.
posting that
I'll
up.
get it up.
Yeah.
I'll get it up on Polycount.
Awesome. Well, it was an absolute blast doing this with you guys. I had a ton of fun.
Thank
so
you.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
thank
And,
you.
That was awesome.
Thank you guys on the East Coast for staying up so late. I know that it's pretty late by now, so
Yeah.
I'll try to do things at a
worries,
slightly more
man.
reasonable hour for East Coast folks later on.
It's nothing for a god.
This, yeah,
Gods need no sleep.
it's the perfect time for me with children, I could just 9 o'clock is when we usually get on to Sculpt anyway. So
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's where we're gonna end things. So you guys
Sure.
have a good night. I'm gonna stop the recording
Cheers.
and drop out of the Skype channel. So I will see you guys later. Thank you so
Cheers.
much.
Hey.
This is awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
See ya.
Have a great one, man.
Good night, guys.